All right, now we will go into the different forms of organizational structure. The first one is functional structure. This is part of how you are going to group jobs into functions. Uh, so a functional structure is just like this. We have a structure where we have different functions, different departments in our respective organization. And then we have the marketing here, and then the human resources here, and then the planning and allocations here, and then in terms of the sourcing chain, merchandising. So we are going to group our jobs into separate functions. So advantages and encourages learning from others doing similar jobs. So this can enhance specialization among your employees. And then easy for managers to monitor and evaluate, because the marketing manager will only evaluate those marketing employees, and then allow managers to create a set of functions they need in order to scan and monitor the competitive environment. So it is much more easier if for the marketing manager and the marketing people to look and scan and monitor the competitive environment regarding the marketing of their products and services within their respective industry. However, there are also some disadvantages. Difficult for departments to communicate with others, and then preoccupation with own department and losing the sight of organizational goals. Sometimes there might be some interdepartmental competition, which is not healthy for the it could be healthy, or also it could jeopardize the success of the pursuit of organizational goals. And then we have divisional structure, organizational structure composed of separate business units within which the functions grouped together to produce specific product for a specific market. It could be in the form of product, divisional structure, geographical, or maybe market. These are some of the example of a different divisional structure. Kalau if we talk about product, it based on the product, different types of product line, washing machine, lighting division, television, and then if it is based on geographical, so we have northern, western, southern, eastern, and if it is based on the market, large business customer, small business customer, educational institutions, and individual customer. So product divisional structure, managers place I think it is quite very straightforward. We base on the product. It is much more easier for us to group our product line according to the product category. It allows functional manager to specialize in one product area, and then allow division manager to become an expert in their respective areas. And then remove need for direct supervision and allow division management to improve the use of resources. Geographical structure based on the geographical area, and then global geographical structure, managers locate different division in each of the world regions where the organization operates. For example, like multinational corporations like McDonald's or the fast food chain, they might want to adopt this global geographical structure. Market structure, we group according to the market. And the next one, a little bit more complicated. We talk about a metric structure. A structure that simultaneously groups people and resources by function and product. The structure is very flexible. However, each employee has two bosses. So one of the thing when we talk about when employee has two bosses, one of the most difficult situation is that you have to report to two different bosses, and that might be the biggest disadvantage. It might lengthen the time for you to make a decision. What type of company that might use this type of metric structure? Sometimes in the construction, in the production, where you have to report to the divisional manager, and at the same time you have a different product line. So that could be the situation. So in which you have to, for this type of employee, he or she needs to report to the sales marketing manager as well as the product team A manager. So this might create conflicts in the communication and lengthen the decision making process. However, we have another structure, a new structure that has been explained in your textbook. They talk about product team structure, a structure which employees permanently assigned to a cross-functional team and report only to the product team manager or to one of the manager's direct subordinates. So this overcome the disadvantage of a matrix structure, in which in the matrix structure we need to report to two different bosses. So the product team structure overcomes that particular problem. So under product team structure, they have a cross-functional team, a group of managers brought together from different departments to perform organizational tasks. For example, we talk about this product team structure. These employees will only be reporting to one particular manager, and so it overcome the complexity of the matrix structure lah. So another important element when we talk about organization, so these are some of the terms that we need to understand. Number one, in organizing, you need to establish authority. When we talk about organizational structure, and we are going to talk about the different level of authority, the power to hold people accountable for their actions and to make decisions concerning the use of organizational resources. And then hierarchy of authority and organization chain of command, specifying the relative authority in each of each manager. So we know, how do we understand the hierarchy of authority? You look at the organizational structure. It will clearly explain that the higher ranking position has higher authority than those in the bottom line of the organizational structure. A span of control, the number of subordinates who report directly to a manager. If we look at a particular manager, sometimes they have a wide span of control, meaning that there are more people reporting to him or her. But in some organization, they might have a very tight or small span of control, smaller span of control, meaning that the number of people reporting to this type of manager is limited. And so when you have that span of control, also might differentiate in terms of the number of people reporting to you, and in terms of the implication is that when you have more people reporting to you, sometimes you might not have the time. You don't have the time to address, to entertain each of your downline, and that could be a possible problem. And then line manager is someone in the direct line or chain of command who has formal authority over people and resources at lower levels. And then the staff manager, someone responsible for managing a specialist function such as finance or marketing manager. So if you are holding a particular position in the particular department, so you are a staff manager lah. And but then if you are directly involved in the production, in the resources, or with the people, with the employees, so you might be considered as a line manager. There is a short note here. Minimum chain of command. The top managers should always construct a hierarchy with the fewest levels of authority necessary to efficiently and effectively use organizational resources, if possible. If possible, we want to minimize the level of authority so that we can create effectiveness and efficiency within our organization. Excuse me. Tall structure, you have many levels of authority and narrow spans of control, meaning that fewer people reporting to you. As hierarchy levels increases, communication gets difficult, creating delay in time being taken to implement the decision. And then communications can also become distorted as they are repeated through the firm. Tall structure can become expensive. So this is the example of a tall structure. And we can see that how many layers that before that idea or that issues are going to reach to the top. There are 7 levels in this particular hierarchy, so it lengthens the decision making process. But in terms of the supervision, it is much more easier because your span of control is narrower. And our span of control is narrower for this particular manager. There are only 2 people reporting to him or her. For this particular manager, there is only one person reporting to him. So it is much more easier for you to control. That is a tall structure. But there are also flat structures in which there are few levels with a wide span of control. Just now, tall, very narrow. Kalau flat is very wide, meaning that there are more people reporting to a particular manager. For example, like this one, there are 3 individuals who are going to report to manager number 1. So, and then there are 2 people reporting to manager number 2. So, this would affect in terms of the communication effectiveness within the organization. Integrating mechanism, this reflects in terms of how well you can coordinate the work structure within your organization. So there are several work structure from simple to complex. We can see from here, from simple to complex, license role, marketing manager, and research and development manager meet to brainstorm new product ideas, the task force, representative from marketing, research and department, and then it's getting more complex and complex. And then this is cross-functional teams in which the team work under a smaller groups, and then they need to work really well in the group together. And then we talk about integrating roles. So these the senior managers provide members of cross-functional teams with relevant information from one teams to another divisions. So we talk a little bit on the organizational culture. So it's a set of belief, expectation, values, and norms that influence how members of an organization relate to one another. And organizational values, the shared standards that its members use to evaluate whether they have helped the company achieve its vision and goal. And the organizational culture and values are one of the important elements that will dictate how successful is the implementation of the strategy that you are going to implement. So if your culture and values did not or do not support the strategy that you are going to pursue, and it is going to be very difficult for you to make that strategy successful, to be implemented successfully within your organization. And organizational culture is the norms. For example, when we go into the Starbucks, they are all being friendly because that is part of their culture. So everybody will greet you. Welcome to Starbucks, welcome to Starbucks. So that is part of their culture and attitude. Sometimes it's formal, sometimes it is no, it's informal. And then what are the sources of an organizational culture? And we talk about organizational ethics, characteristics of organizational members, and then the employment relationship and organizational structure. So ethics, we talk about values, belief, rules, what is right and what is wrong, the way that the top management practices their ethics would be reflected on how the employees would react or would behave in the organization. And then that is one of the important element of the development of the organizational culture. We're almost done. Employment relationship can influence the human resource policy, can influence how hard employees will work to achieve the organizational goals. And we always refer that HR officer is just like a cikgu discipline. So they like to keep track and monitoring the work of others within the organization, and their policies will be set as the standard of work within the organization. And finally, we all hope that we can have an adaptive culture that would help in order for us to be adaptive to the surrounding environment. Inert cultures, those that lead to values and norms that fail to motivate to inspire employees, lead to the stagnation and often failures over time. So we do not want to have that. And so possibly all organizations would like to create an adaptive culture in which each of the employees would be responsive to the changes that needs to be done in order to make strategy successful. So that would be the end of this chapter.